Discernment is not the act of judging others. Rather, it is the art of perceiving states of consciousness within yourself first. Know thyself, and then within the collective field. Its goal is clarity, not superiority, alignment, not separation. Now, knowing yourself is the first step in learning how to distinguish the awakened from those still slumbering. So, how to distinguish the awakened from the asleep, those still sleeping. Because in this new earth, in this golden age, the sleeper must awaken. And you do this, you accomplish this, distinguishing the awakened from the asleep, with your observation, by their ability to self observe, to question reality, to follow an inner compass. Are they guided? Are you guided? Because what we're ultimately trying to accomplish here is avoiding the NPC trap of judging, being in a state of judgment, of assessing a situation, a person, as a non-player character, as a judgment. But what we're looking to achieve is the gnosis, is the remembering that awakening is a state. It's not a status that you wear on your shoulder. It is the realization that every being carries the same spark. Now, this spark in its raw state is a powerful red dragon seed, raw primal cosmic force. But that primal power is tempered by another force, the God force, that interacts with this primal dragon seed, works with it, fashions it, harmonizes into what is known as the Ātman in the Vedic sciences, or the inner witness, your fifth dimensional consciousness, that voice, that still small voice that breaks patterns, that is able to discern, to name inner events, to observe breath, to observe the observer. So we get away from this sort of callous judgment of not NPC, or what is real, who's an NPC, who's a soul infused person. We get away from this sort of separation mentality, separation linguistics, and we elevate to the realization that there are those walking with the God force ignition versus those who are experiencing soul latency. Their soul is in a dormant status. The God force sleeps, slumbers. The Mother Shakti, the Kundalini, still lies coiled at their base. But knowing that everyone is a carrier of the spark, and that awakening is simply when the spark catches fire. So discernment is not the act of judging others. It is the art of perceiving states of consciousness within yourself first, and then within the collective field. Its goal is clarity, not superiority. Its goal is alignment, not separation. There are two currents of humanity. the God force, the ignited, awakened reality, dimension. These are individuals whose inner witness has activated. They experience a constant pull toward truth and authenticity, questioning of inherited narratives, sensitive to energy, emotion, and subtle forces, a sense of purpose beyond material survival, growing resistance to falsehood, propaganda, and sleep. And then we have a lot, a high percentage of reality of individuals that are asleep, soul latent. These are individuals whose God force potential is present but dormant. They operate mostly through habit and social programming, reactive emotional loops, collective consensus reality, short term gratification cycles, low introspection or self inquiry. So the Umbanda New Elohim Ashram rejects the idea of empty humans. Instead, there is dormant consciousness awaiting ignition. Now, it is important to learn how to distinguish without judgment. Discernment requires neutrality, impartiality. It requires the middle path of the Christ. And therefore, in that capacity, we are in a state of observation and we observe resonance. Awakened individuals create a feeling of depth, presence, openness. They do not drain, they do not siphon, they do not act in a vampiric level of operational capacity. Soul latent individuals create a feeling of surface level repetition, of predictable responses, and energetic inertia, but without malice. Gaze. The awakened eyes show awareness, questioning, subtle intensity. Soul latent eyes appear clouded by routine, media imprinting, and emotional reactivity. You can discern often to among the sleeping and the awakened by their reaction to truth. The awakened lean forward, engage, consider. The soul latent deflect, dismiss, or become uneasy. You can tell those, you can discern among those awake and asleep through their relationship with pain. The awakened, pain becomes a catalyst. Yes, obstacles are merely absorbed into the overall flow of your evolution. Pain becomes a catalyst. The soul latent, pain produces avoidance. Now, we want to avoid the NPC trap. How to avoid spiritual arrogance. Spiritual arrogance is the quickest way to lose your awakening. If you look down on the asleep, you join them. Avoid the NPC trap by remembering everyone awakens on their own timing. You were once asleep too. I was once asleep as well. And there are varying levels, permutations of awakeness and sleepness. And there are gradations. There's a whole level of energy, of infinity that we are part of. The role of the awakened is to serve, not to posture, not to create little YouTube channels and flood them with millions of AI videos of them playing guitar. No. The God force flows through humility, not superiority. Sleep is not failure, it is latency. The moment you see yourself, perceive yourself as better, the inner witness dims. The illusion of the ego takes place and the archons have won a victory. But through activating the inner witness is the observer behind the mind. It awakens when attention becomes self reflective. Now, there are some practices for activation. Pause before reaction, a micro observation. Track the origin of thoughts. Are they yours? Break anchoring through the spine. Gaze, softening meditation. Daily deconditioning rituals. Reduce dopamine loops. Scrolling, media overconsumption, gas station heroin. Where attention goes, the witness grows. The witness is the God force ignition. The sleeper is soul latency. That awakening is not about acquiring something, but about remembering. Your God force ignition, the moment consciousness turns inward and upward. This signals inner heat or pressure, sudden clarity, emotional detox, quantum leaps in understanding, dissolution of social mask. The soul latency, a long sleep, not absence, but life feels repetitive. Fear replaces curiosity. Emotions drive behavior unconsciously. No questioning of reality structures. Ignition transforms latency into sovereignty. The spark of the God force fire within you. Our God is a consuming fire. Now I see without judging, I perceive without condemning, I discern without dividing, for all beings are sparks, some burning, some waiting. Your role, dear viewer, as an awakened one, should you choose to accept it, the ascended master path, your task is to hold a field of coherence, to ignite God force in others by example, to walk without superiority, to witness without reacting, to speak only from the God force center, not the ego mind. Where you walk, awakening radiates. The final formula of discernment is presence equals ignition, reactivity equals latency. See this, and you will never be confused again. Hit the subscribe button, and you will never be confused again. Leave this video a thumbs up, as it indicates to the algorithm that the masses of people, that todos los gentes del mundo, all the people in the world, choose not to be confused again. Namaste. Namaskaram.